ready to go. All right, here we go. Cheers with the waters.
Cheers with waters.
Cheers. We're not drinking yet. It's another early taping, so we gotta take it easy today. I got a gig tonight too, so I gotta make sure I'm not buzzed going into it. That would not be good.
Beer always tastes sweeter after the gig.
That's right. It always tastes way better.
Yeah.
All right, so we are getting started here. Welcome to another episode of The Scratch Track. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Justin Rice, and this is very exciting because we've talked quite a bit about music and whatnot, but I've never really sat down and talked to you about your background, and we have sort of a similar upbringing, being that both of our dads were musicians at a younger age, and your dad still plays quite frequently. Mine does not that much anymore, but that I feel like was a big introduction to my musical education in the beginning, was because my dad was such a player back in like his high school days and early college days that I got to learn a lot from him and from his style of playing and everything like that, and seeing how he how he learned differently than I did and things like that. So yeah, I'm excited for this, and we get to dive into the Beatles, which is fun. I've not done that before, so this is exciting for me. Okay, so I'm gonna hand it over to you. I want you to just go ahead and plug all your social media stuff. Tell them who you are, what band you're in, and let them know what's going on, man.
Yeah,
hit them up.
Yeah, I play in a band called Guava Train. It's a mashup of a flute player, a really good guitar player, bongo player, vocalist. I sing and play saxophone and play guitar. We use a lot of looping. It's a pretty versatile band in the sense that we can be a duo, a trio, or we'll have a full band with multiple instruments.
Right.
We do a lot of covers, but we do different spins on them.
Yeah.
And then we do some original music too. We're on Instagram where you can check out the bulk of our material, which is on Guava Train Official. Same tag for Facebook as well, Guava Train Official. And then if you want to check out some of my stuff, my solo stuff as Justin Rice, it would be Justin Rice Musica.
Nice.
Or music with an A on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you guys are a good follow because you post very regularly. Schedule's always easy to find. You make events for everything, so it's a good follow if you want to check them out. So yeah. Okay, so tell me a little bit about like where you're from and how old are you, by the way?
I am 29.
29. Okay, I'm 28. So we're right around there. When's your birthday?
This Sunday.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
No shit.
Yes, it is.
Valentine's Day.
Yep, that's right.
Hell yeah, dude. Happy birthday.
Thanks,
all right.
buddy. Thanks.
Well, that means I got little time to get you a present, but I'll think of something.
Your music's the present. Just jam out.
Stop it. Okay. So so tell me a little bit about you. I don't know a lot of this, and neither do the listeners, I'm sure. Some of them might, but go ahead, take it away for a second.
Yeah, I was born in St. Pete, Florida. Lived in Plantation for about a couple years of my life, and then moved back up to the Safety Harbor area, which I've been in since I was 4. Went to school in Orlando, not for music, at UCF, unfortunately. Not for music.
Yeah.
I love UCF. It's a great place. And then after that, I moved down to Miami for a few years. I thought it was a great fit because I love the big city. I love Florida, and I speak Spanish too, which was definitely a plus. And I started playing music when I was in 6th grade. I was 11, and my dad forced me to learn how to play the saxophone. And I really didn't want to do it, but it turned out to be the best forced decision of my life.
It's really a great instrument, man. I love it. I love hearing the saxophone on any type of music. I'm a huge fan of that, and I love when bands incorporate that in a more like rock and roll sense. And where it kind of gets out of, there's no secret. I'm a huge Dave Matthews Band fan. I love when they incorporate that stuff. I love when like reggae bands do that stuff when the horns really kick in. I love it. So it's really cool. So sax was your first instrument?
It was. Sax was my very first instrument.
And how many do you know? You know guitar, sax,
and vocals.
Okay.
I mean, I dabble in drums, but I'm nowhere near your level, and dabble in bass, but I really don't have the dexterity.
I haven't played in a while, so yeah, I don't know where my level's at now, but it's fun. But yeah, so Matt's the guitar player for Guava Train. When you and Matt do duo stuff, he does the bongos too.
He does. He'll change out, and we'll get stuff on a loop. So, I'll have the guitar playing going, and he's soloing, and then that's looped, or I'll have sax, and then he'll just jump on the bongos, and vice versa if he does. Yeah,
that was a cool intro to your stuff, man. Because I knew you as a Troubled Waters Brewing regular.
Yeah. And
Shout
when
out
you were
Troubled
doing the
Waters.
open mic, that's how we met, man.
Yeah, and I didn't know that you played, and Stephanie was like, hey, you should get Justin to come here. I was like, okay, cool. And then you guys started playing. I was like, holy shit. I was like, these guys are funky as hell, man. I love that. That was so cool. Sure. And then you opened up with, the Santana, Dave Matthews, Love of My Life song. I was like, oh my God. I was like, everybody else in the bar has no idea what this song is. But I'm like, I know it, and it's fucking jamming. I love it.
Yeah, that was sweet. There weren't that many people there for the first one, but you're like, man, that was really good.
Dude, it was awesome.
Cover that. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. I feel like I needed that.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. And Matt has a pretty elaborate setup, but he knows what he's doing with it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've had people come in there and it was like, yeah, do you have all the... I'm like, dude, this is supposed to be like an acoustic open mic. Like, I trust you. I trust you if you bring your shit and you know what you're doing with it. But if you're just going to come there and, like, make me be your sound guy, like, I don't know what I'm doing, man.
Yeah, and then it breaks up the flow.
Yeah.
It's like an open mic.
Right. And I was like, dude, you get 15 to 20 minutes up here. I don't want to spend, like, half of that setting you up.
Setting you up, getting the pedals right and...
Yeah, so I was like, I mean, like I have no issue with it if you just go there and you like plug and chug, everything works out and everything's fine. Like Matt knows his equipment top to bottom. He's a professional. The guy's been playing for a long fucking time.
Yep.
He knows exactly what's going on. So it's not anything out of his wheelhouse to just set up real quick and just go.
Yeah.
But there's other guys I'd be like, bro, what are we doing? So yeah, it was fun. I miss hosting that, man. There were so many great musicians that we saw there, and obviously meeting you guys was great. And I still got to come out to see a full Guava Train full band show because I've only seen the duo, and I've seen you solo too, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I love the solo vibes there, especially in like the small rooms because you play a lot. Like you're a guy that I tell people all the time. Like you're a guy that I can send to cover for me in smaller rooms because I know that you're not gonna like go in there and just blow it out.
Blast the place for like 4 people in a restaurant.
Yeah, so it's good. It's good to have the like a different style of music because like a lot of the local musicians that I know are like everybody. There's not anybody that's too similar to each other that I know. I mean, there's a couple people that I know like similar set list wise, but everybody has such a different style.
Yeah, it has a different flavor, and it's not just the same old Jimmy Buffett stuff. Nothing against Jimmy Buffett. But,
yeah.
When you hear some like real different stuff, like wow, you're playing a Van Halen song like acoustic, or like the way you're taking like Dave Matthews and doing like duo with your excellent saxophone player.
Oh,
and
Jim
Now, or you got Keith and stuff.
Tom.
Man, I'm sorry, Tom.
Yeah. Tom. Well, Tom's a sax, but Keith.
Tom's a sax player.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got their names.
No, you're fine. Tom's got a wild story, man. I keep teasing it on this, and I want to get him on here so fucking bad. I think I've told you about it.
Yeah, you have.
But that guy, he's great. He's one of my favorite people, man. As like musicians, I hope that I'm hoping that he can join us on Saturday. We're gonna do a little. By the time this airs, it'll already be done. But this Saturday, we're doing the Dave Matthews tribute for Valentine's Eve. So we're gonna do all the love songs and stuff like that. So nothing like a little smooth sax on Where Are You Going or a Dream Girl or something like that. So that'd be fun to do, man. So all right, so you're a Florida native.
I am.
Not many left.
Not many left.
I mean, there's a lot, but I don't meet many. All my family's from Indiana. Where's your dad from?
He's from New York.
New York. Oh, that's right. That's right. I knew that. Yeah. Sorry, we talked about that.
Oh, you're good.
So your dad. What did your dad listen to growing up? Like, was it his stuff that he listened to that kind of influenced you and to like learn how to play, or did you just kind of take like? Because I know you said he forced you to learn the saxophone, but
yes,
did you want to learn another instrument after that? Like, were you like, I love the sax, but I would really like to play guitar, etc., whatever? I don't know.
I really wanted to play guitar, but I think the prospect of the defeat and the challenge kind of and Matt, my best friend, he got so good so fast. I was like, well, maybe I should pick another instrument. But I really same Matt. Yeah,
really?
I've known him. He's my oldest friend.
No shit.
Since 5th grade.
Wow, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. But sax was my first instrument, and I really loved it, and I was excelling, and I thought, hey, this is kind of it. And at this point, I didn't even know what jamming was, what improvisation was.
Yeah.
I wasn't even listening to that many saxophone players. I was really just sight reading, and I was getting really good at that. And playing like orchestra and I kind of thought that was the limit for sax. I wasn't listening to the Stones or anything like that. You know, they have a jam and sax player, but my dad, he got me into the Beatles. I really don't remember how it happened, but I really wasn't listening to anything except for the band stuff, and they give us that sheet music, and I'd try and find it on the internet before Napster in the early days. And then I got a Who album from Matt's dad, And I think my dad said, if you like them, which that was the first band I really liked, had greatest hits, he said, you should check out this band, the Beatles. And he was always listening to this band, Rubber Soul. So I don't know, I might have borrowed the CD from him or just burned it. And man, I can't tell you how many times on my way to riding my bike to middle school I had my little CD player, man. I was listening to this album over. I think it was, besides that and the Who album, I listened to that one for months, and it really changed me.
So you went to middle school and high school around the same time I did, obviously, because we're a year apart. Was there a like sort of mysterious, like a mystique that you like to keep with the music that you listen to because you didn't want people to know that you were listening to the Beatles kind of thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was kind of embarrassed about it at first, I have to say, because like everybody was listening to rap and stuff, and that was like the cool thing, and I would be like, so I'm listening to this Beatles. I'm like, what?
Yeah, they're like, what?
My parents listen to that.
Yeah, right.
and then my dad just kept showing me like more good Beatles music, because I mean, he had the vinyl, and it was really cool to like, and I was like,
so this is his original.
This is his. Yeah, that $5 on there is really what he paid for it.
Wow, dude, that's nuts, man. That's so crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Holy shit.
But and the more I listened to, the more I really, really enjoyed it, and I just discovered, hey, it's okay to be different. And then I started rocking my Beatles shirt, and people were like, "What the hell are you doing, man? That's not cool." But I didn't care.
Yeah, I was big into like the classic rock stuff too early on. Like my dad was a big, Zeppelin, Van Halen, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, like all that hard, like Def Leppard, Cheap Trick, Poison, like all the 80s, like the hair metal stuff that he was kind of into. But he also was, he was into stuff that I liked, and that we kind of bonded over like mutual interests of stuff that sounded like his stuff that he listened to back in the day, but just a little bit different. Like we bonded with the the Foo Fighters, obviously, and like Chris Cornell stuff, and like Soundgarden, Audioslave, and like the grunge stuff coming out, like. And so that I always remember growing up and like kind of keeping that under the guise of like, oh yeah, I listened to that too, because I wanted to have that frame of reference also, but I really didn't enjoy that music as much as I did the stuff that I was like actually listening to at the house that I wasn't telling people about. And then I found out that other people listened to that also, and I was like, holy shit, this is how friends happen. This is how to make friends. Yeah.
When was that? Was that in high school when you started noticing other people were listening to the same kind of?
It was probably classics? middle school. Because like in elementary school, my dad kind of like kept me away from.
Oh, elementary school, you're jamming on this.
No, not really. I knew about it, but he kept me away from. He kept me away from that stuff because I don't know. My dad
corrupting influence.
Yeah, he kept me somewhat sheltered in the sense that like he's like, if we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Yeah. So. And he's not wrong for doing that. I mean, I don't know. I'll probably end up doing the same things because, genetics and whatnot. But
the gene.
Yeah. But no, it was interesting because like all of a sudden there was this seismic shift of like what I recognized in people as like, what they listen to. And it was actually cool at one point in my middle school years to like listen to older music. And I was like, what is this? Yeah. I was like, I was doing this for fucking years.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That was like me when I went to high school and I noticed people were wearing like Pink Floyd shirts. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, these are my people. Yeah. Like, hey, let's talk about Pink Floyd.
Yeah, all the girls that chop up like the Dark Side of the Moon stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's your favorite track? Like, what? It's like, I just like the design. Shut up, dude. Yeah, it was interesting, man. I always tried to keep it calm and like not let anybody know about my life. Like I don't tell people that I'm a musician that I don't know. Like if you and I are talking, obviously I'll tell music stories because we do the same thing. Kindred spirits, we see the same shit. It's wild most of the time. But if somebody's like, oh, what do you do? Like on an airplane or if I'm out somewhere like meeting new people, I don't tell them I'm a musician. Because I just don't want to open the door of like, sing me a song.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I just tell them that I'm doing something that I had done before. So I at least have like a little bit of knowledge in case they try to ask questions.
Probe, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, so how long do you work? Oh, yeah. I just kind of go into this whole bullshit about it. But yeah, I never did it. So so you go to high school. Were you in a band in high school?
I was.
Did you play live? Did you play anywhere out?
Yeah, we did.
You did?
Yeah, I was in this band called Seven City Showdown. We had this pretty cool MySpace page. Awesome. I think it's pretty much defunct
MySpace,
now. Huh? MySpace, yeah. Trying to get that 2,000 plays,
Yeah.
So vain. But yeah, we played a lot at Neptune's, and then we played.
No shit.
Yeah, we played at. There was one place we played at in Ybor City, and we I think we played a couple house parties and stuff.
Dude.
But like for us, like having a gig every 2 or 3 months was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, oh my god, we did it. Yeah,
like it was. Pretty, and like, oh, people are actually coming out to see us. I played guitar in that one, and that's where when my days when I was just all about the shred. I didn't sing at all.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't sing at all. No, I just didn't think I had a voice, and just thought you had to be born with it. Which turned out to be a mistake.
Not true. So,
yeah, not true. Yeah, everybody has the ability to sing.
Yeah, everybody
We're not
can.
all gonna be Shakira's, but
yeah, right. Everybody can sing it in their own way. I mean, there's obvious things that can help and hurt your voice over the years, or you can be born with a certain range that you just haven't tapped into yet that you don't know. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like tone is hard to control. That's the only thing I remember. Like when we were growing up in my high school band, the lead guitar player in the band that we were in high school, he took voice lessons, and it was just really hard for him to control tone. He had power in his voice and grit, and like we were like when he gets up there and starts like yelling, it's like it's good, but it's like there's no control over the low tones, and it's like very difficult especially when you're going through puberty too, to kind of try not to like crack your voice while you're singing.
Been there,
but
man,
it's like fuck yeah, you do that and it's like it's over, man. I remember doing that in front of like a house party of people, and someone called me on a voice crack, and I was like, I think my body shut down for at least an hour. I was like, I'm so mad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but it's funny that you say that about the whole guitar thing, because the reason why I didn't pick up guitar is because of that. I always constantly said, I was like, I'm not smart enough. My fingers are gonna hurt. I'm just not.
Yeah, it's
like
daunting.
I watched all these people like that were so fucking good.
Yeah.
And then I have nowhere to start. I was always like with drums, everything came so easy. With anything else that I had done musically or athletically at the time, like obviously can't run as fast as I can anymore. But like back in the day, it was like I would just practice a couple of days and be like, oh, I think I got it,
Yeah.
With guitar, it was like I was listening to a lot of Dave Matthews, a lot of John Mayer in
like
college,
the most technical guitar playing,
a lot of like
music.
Mark Tremonti and like Tim Reynolds and Miles Kennedy and Slash and fucking all these like all hard rock guitar players and like fast metal sweepers sometimes. So I was like, I want to do that, and then I just recently within the last couple of years grew into like, hey, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be that guy.
Yeah.
You can be good. You don't have to be. You don't have to be a great guitar player to make it.
Right.
You don't.
Right, yeah.
You have to be great at like something else if you're not great at that. But you like I can't solo like you can. I obviously can't play the sax, and I just try to shift what I'm good at into like a box that I can build on, like, and that's what you have to do. But the whole time during the beginning in like high school, I was like, I'm never gonna learn how to play because it's too hard, and I would just give up. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not smart enough. And then it was done.
I was totally there, and it's just daunting because if you go up to a piano and you put your hands down on the piano, it's going to make a sound. You use 3 fingers and you can make a major chord or whatever.
Exactly.
Drums probably the same thing. You can teach somebody how to do a very simple beat, but when it comes to guitar, there's so much technique of arching your fingers and so many mistakes you can make too. And it's like the instant gratification factor is just not there with guitar. You just got to pay your dues.
Yeah,
no matter what your style is.
It still hurts to play sometimes. Like I mean, my hand when I play like 3-4 times a week, I'm like, my hands fucking hurt, dude. Like, it hurts. And especially when we do those Dave tribute shows where I'm like stretching all over the fucking place. I'm like, God, dude, yeah. But I love it. I love the challenge of that. Like if I just played GCD for 4 hours, it'd drive me nuts. I mean, it would drive you nuts too, because like you guys like that room to run and get funky and jammy and everything and improvise and stuff like that. So it's cool. But it wasn't. It was weird growing up, man. I feel like you and I are the same in that, and I knew that was going to be. I knew that was going to be the thing, because I always remember growing up and being like, I'm never going to tell anybody that I listen to this.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoy it, but no one has to know.
Same.
But I was, with the oldies, I was also in tune with, like, I loved, like, the new alternative stuff. Like, I was big into the Killers. I loved, like, 30 Seconds to Mars and, like, Linkin Park and, like, that stuff. And then, on the other end of the spectrum, it was, Zeppelin and, like, I don't know, what was it? My dad had this. Oh shit! I'm gonna blow it now. I can't remember. There's a CD that I used to wear out to the point where like I couldn't, like I would put it in my car now and it just skips because it's been played so much. So I can't remember. I'll think of it. I'll think of it in a minute. But Okay, so you go to college, you go to UCF, and you became a CPA?
I did.
Is that right?
Okay. Yeah, I changed my major a bunch of times and finally decided on business. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to like default like everybody else. No offense to any of the business majors. I am a business major.
Yeah.
But yeah, I took accounting and it was like the language of business. And I was like, wow. After my first course, I was like, wow, I could probably run a business. You know, not maybe run a business, but have pretty good knowledge except for the first course. And we were in a recession. I'm like, oh, CPAs are getting jobs right now.
Yeah.
I dual majored in Spanish, so I got a second degree. And in between, well, I guess preceding all that, I tried to do music at one point, but they rejected me from the program. They're like, sorry, like you're good, but your music skills aren't high enough. I'm like, hey, I'm really good at sight reading at saxophone. They're like, we don't have any more space for saxophones, you know, and guitar is really competitive too. And it crushed me, dude.
You ready for this?
It crushed me.
Same exact thing happened to me in college.
Yeah, I know it did.
The same fucking
dude,
thing.
I know. I can't remember where we were when you were talking about this. I'm like, dude, Josh and I freaking know. It's their loss. It's their loss for both of us.
Wrecked me, dude.
It did. It's crushing.
And then did you ever? Okay, so around that time,
I'm not just a shredder, guys. I know what these chords are built. I know some music theory.
Around that time in college, did you ever? Were you out in like Orlando in like an open mic scene or like? Did you ever see the people that were in the music program play live?
I did, and they were fantastic. But I do know one of them straight up told me, and another one kind of reinforced the story like. Oh, when I started, I didn't even know how to read music at all. But there weren't any. There were a lot of spaces for guitar players at that time, and now there's not. And it was like, oh darn it, you know. And I wasn't going to sit around paying tuition for 2 years to get into a program that wasn't even guaranteed. It just wasn't worth it.
I remember going out because I ran an open mic, and this is back when I wasn't very good back then. I just started playing guitar. I had been playing live for 5 months. Like live guitar, so nothing really. Yeah, super fresh. But I picked it up fast. Like once I got the general grasp of guitar, I was able to pick up a lot of stuff because I was playing a lot of grunge, a lot of power chord stuff. So everything from that sort of built and it made sense. So I remember like people would be like whispering when people would walk in to the open mic. They'd be like whatever. I'll be like, what the fuck is the deal? Like, are they famous? Like, can we fucking be like? They're like, no, they're in the music program at FAU. I was like, okay, cool. So I walked right up to them. I was like, go on the list. I want to see what I didn't make. And then they go up there, fucking awful.
Oh man,
awful,
crushing.
Some of the people that were there were like, dude, this chick, I shit you not. There's a video of this on my Instagram. From like 8 years ago, and I videotaped something. It was like another day at the office or whatever, because I was pumped about playing music. And this chick that was up there, before that video took place, there was a girl that was there, and I'll have to bleep out her name, but her name was and her and I kind of ran the open mic together. She was a super talented musician. She was in the music program as well. However, she was actually good. This other girl that came up there, I don't remember her name. Not important. I can remember exactly what she looks like though. She got up on stage and she started to play What I Got by Sublime.
Yeah.
And did not tune the guitar.
Oh, gosh.
So she started playing and she started singing with it. And I was like, do you not hear this?
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck, dude? I was like, these guys told me not to come in because I couldn't read music. I was like, I got a better ear than that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm not just like putting my fingers there because I know that's what it's like. I know what it's supposed to fucking sound like. So then comes up to me, God damn, I'm going to have a beast editing this. Okay, so... Yeah. She comes up to me and she was like, you need to stop this because she looks so bad right now. You need to just get her to tune the guitar. So then someone was like, hey, stop. Like mid-song. And I was like...
So was that out of tune? It wasn't just like a little bit...
Oh, no. It was like, dude, something happened where in between me playing and handing off the guitar to her... That's the other thing. She's in the music program. She comes to an open mic. She doesn't even bring her fucking instrument. Like, bring your own shit.
Yeah.
Come on, man. So then there were these other guys, and I remember hearing from the girl that I was mentioning. I don't want to do it again because I don't want to bleep it out. But I remember hearing from her. They have like this, I guess, recital kind of thing or whatever, like a performance at the end of the year where they all pick a piece, like a cover or an original song, and they all play. Yeah. So they invite their families and all the students or whatever. And she was telling me that one of the guys that was there, who I know, and he was one of those dudes who like, he grew up in South Florida. He's like Central American background. His name was, I'll say it and then to you just to see how Spanish it is, but I'll have to bleep this out because I'm going to use this last name too. His name was
nice.
And then he switched his name to and became a country artist. I was like, what's going on here? What's
Either he has
happening?
a passion for country or a passion for money.
Yeah, right. So
maybe both.
So that whole thing's going on, and then he starts to perform all of this like country music, and I'm like, what's the deal? I was like, is this just your thing? Do you like the lifestyle? He's like, oh, love the lifestyle, dude, love it. And then then would just learn all this country stuff, and then like bought a Jeep, like nice. Fixed it up and all that shit. And then she was telling me, she's like, yeah, when he performed at the thing, he like, he forgot like half the words to the song. And I was like, what? Dude, I was like, don't tell me that, man.
Because jazz is a big deal. Okay, you'd be like,
yeah, right.
But country, you got to get the story right.
I know.
You got to get the story right.
I think it was an Ed Sheeran song that he did too. I don't even think it was country. He was just doing whatever top 40 was. So he,
Yeah.
So at least if people were like out of the moment and not enjoying it, they could at least kind of sing along and help him out. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I just thought it was funny because like, I went into the office and I was like, hey, I'd like to be in the music program because, that's what I love. It's what I love to do. Yeah. And they were like, oh, do you know how to sight read? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, that's part of the thing. And I was like, well, I mean, I can play. I was like, I know how to play a little bit. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
They called up. So they called this guy right in front of me, which it could be a fake call. Who knows? They called him up and they're like, hey, so I have a student here. He's asking about the music program. Does he have to sight read to get into it? Like, is there a test or whatever? She goes, yeah, unfortunately, everybody that goes in there has to do a sight reading test. And I was like, dude, I fucking know. I'm like, after seeing these two people that I was talking about at the open mic, I'm like, I know these guys didn't sight read shit. I know that. How are you going to sit there and tell me that I couldn't do it? I sat in bed for 3 full days. I didn't go to class for 2 days after that. I was like, fuck this, man. I was like, I'm putting myself out there and like want to actually finally do this, and then they told me no.
Yeah, I think they got the impression, or at least maybe some of them, like when I went to the rehearsal or whatever you want to call it, when you're basically like interviewing for the program, because I was already at UCF at this point.
Yeah.
And I had already talked to some of the professors, just kind of networking with them.
Same.
And I always like to get to know my professors anyway. They all rocked.
Yeah.
And here I come in, like all these other people, some of them had been playing for 10 years, and the other applicants, they were pretty good. But, I came in with like sandals and like, oh, I'll wear a black t-shirt, no pictures on it, V-neck, look a little nice, right? It like came in shorts, and I think they were pretty impressed with like my intonation and stuff, being able to hear and being able to like pick out harmonies and stuff. But when it came to like actually playing jazz, which the program was involved, it's a very technical music, and I hadn't, even though I'm a much better jazz player now, I wasn't where I needed probably to be. And in competition to these other kids coming right out of high school who've been doing this for like 12 years.
Right.
It was like, well, you can try again next year. And I was going to do that, but after a whole year and spending tuition money and finding,
it's like, dude,
well, I like Spanish and I like accounting too.
Yeah. It's...
Their loss for both of us.
Yeah, for real, man. We made money doing it, so go fuck yourself, all right? How about that?
Yes.
So how long were you a CPA for?
I still am a CPA.
Oh, yeah, you still are. I'm sorry.
I still am. Yeah, I still have my license. I was a CPA for about 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you worked for...
I worked for the Big Four.
Okay.
Yeah, the Big Four accounting firms. You can take your pick.
Explain this to me like I'm 5, because I know nothing about money.
So like, how like in tech there's like the startups, like kind of the mid-tier firms that have been around for a long time.
Gotcha.
And then you've got like the behemoths, right?
Okay.
The Big Four are the 4 big behemoths of accounting, finance.
Okay.
Yeah. So if anybody's an accountant listening to this, they'll know exactly what it is. And for everybody else, the 99.9% of everybody else, they will not know what Big
All the
Four
rest
is.
of you dum-dums like me won't know what the hell's going on. No, I've never been able to, I just never had that brain to follow that. I respect the shit out of people that do that so much, because I'm like, it's just a thing that you don't understand. It's like when I see somebody play an instrument that I don't know how to play, I'm like, holy fuck. I was like, this is amazing. It's like, you do that? Yeah.
Accounting is like saxophone, right? Saxophone's probably the easiest instrument to learn. You just got to like memorize different things. Right. And like so people think that I'm a really good saxophone player, and I'm decent, but I'm nowhere near Brian was his name?
Tom.
I'm nowhere near Tom's level. In accounting, I used to joke about this all the time, like half joking, half serious, that accountants are really good at making people think what we do is really hard, we can charge them like high billable hour rates.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just kind of like reading rule books, and it's not as much math as people think.
I do that same thing with being a musician too. I call that the pain in the ass charge. Just kidding, everybody. That's going to get me in trouble. We're going to cut that out for sure. Okay, so, all right. So, do you want to talk about recently leaving your job and doing the whole music thing?
Sure, absolutely.
Go into that a little bit.
Yeah, I just decided I'm getting close to 30s. It's coming up soon, and I've just been doing accounting for so long. And when I was in school, I didn't just do accounting. I took classes outside there that I didn't necessarily have to take. I did Spanish because that was something fun. I was doing music on the side.
You're bilingual too, right?
I am bilingual. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
I
learned it at UCF, my alma mater. I'm super proud of that school.
That's awesome.
And it's just getting to the point where the industry's really changed in accounting, and you've got a lot less people working more hours. Mm-hmm. And when it was getting to the point when it was a Saturday and I was getting calls and I'm like, man, like I can't practice before my gig. Like I'm trying to answer emails and things that quite frankly, I didn't really care about. You know what I mean? Like they give you the clients you want to work on. So if I might have been working on a huge oil company acquisition, big merger, and I'm like, this is not really the industry I want to learn about and explore. So I decided to go back into music and do teaching and see where it could take me and take a chance, because you only live once. And
fuck yeah, man.
I was just getting a little bit tired of just looking at a screen all day crunching numbers when there's just more to it. I was especially with working from home, missing interactions and working with people and seeing people. Just getting too much.
Yeah, and it's a skill that you always have, and you and I talked about this, and I don't know if you want this on here so we can cut it out, and there's the dead air for it. Bang. So you said sometimes I leave a little space just in case we need to cut it out. Yeah. But you were talking about potentially doing some doing the taxes for like some local musicians and people like that, and helping them understand what the fuck is going on. Because every year I'm like, I don't even know. My stepdad's been doing my shit forever, and he's the man, and he figures everything out. And I know nothing, but I trust him wholeheartedly. So, but that's a great idea, because I know so many people that like TurboTax their shit, and then they're like, but it's like
it's nice to be able to talk to somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
TurboTax is a pretty powerful workflow, but and this goes back to really just trying to do my own thing to make money off of my own skill sets instead of being in it like a typical 9 to 5 or a 9 to 11 p.m., 12 a.m.
God.
I am now taking on some freelance jobs that I enjoy with accounting, that I want to do, things that interest me. And one thing that I've noticed is that there's a lot of musicians out there that or artists, in general, name your art. They might not know the best entity to set up so that they can get the lowest tax rate. They might not understand, credits or deductions that might be available to them. And then on top of that, we all got to retire one day, because unfortunately there might be a time where we're not able to play our instruments, or maybe our voice isn't as strong, and saving is really
put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I know.
Damn it. I was having a great day, man.
I know. I'm making us think about our own mortality. But getting people to the point where they know that there's these amazing tax vehicles open to everybody, to help them save and grow the money that they have, instead of it all sitting in a savings account, let it grow, so that if that, God forbid, does happen, we're 70, 80 and we don't want to play anymore. They have that available to them. So it's not just for the big boys. It's not just for the people who have $100,000 portfolio. It's available to people who are like normal, like most of us who don't have $100,000 sitting around. I see all these investment firms like, if you have $500,000, like, call us today. I'm like, oh, okay, you're really going for a niche market there.
I can tell you who I'm not calling is your ass.
They'd look at me and they'd be like,
I'm calling Vegas, baby.
Like, if you had like 2 more zeros,
right. God, that's wild, man. Well, that's such a good service, man. Because I do honestly feel like so many local musicians get fucked around with that stuff, especially with the, I'm gonna go through buying a house eventually, and I'm gonna have to show a lot of proof of things that I really don't have paper trails of, like tip money and cash payments and like, repairs and stuff like that people do. And, there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to have to go in for. And also like during this year, for filing, I have a lot more big expenses with the album that just came out, and the merch and the studio time and the production and the everything.
You want to see how you can deduct that, because it's part of the cost of you doing business.
Right, it's a lot. So, and I never thought about that until. So I've been definitely spending a lot more. I mean, because I'm just making more with music. But I remember that feeling, man, of that daily grind of like, I have to bring my guitar into my boss's office, and everybody come and be like, "Whose is that?" And,
my
can't
gosh,
leave it in the car. I'm like, fuck, dude. I was like, I don't want to talk about this to you. Like, my boss was the man. Like, my boss was so great. And my boss would tell me like, listen, if you have a late gig, just text me, be like, hey, can you cover the morning, and I'll come in middle of the day, whatever. Like I did that so many times because I was like, there would be nights where like Thursday night I was playing till 12 o'clock, 1 in the morning, and then driving back here and having to do that. So I was like, this is great, man, thank you. And then that was back when the world was a little bit more normal, but I quit my job 3 months before the whole shutdown happened, and it was pretty spooky. And the like financial times like these where I'm pinching a lot, like luckily I've been able to build a little bit because of the people that have been stuck their neck out for me over the last like year now, and helped me get back on my feet. But a lot of it was I was just thinking of those people that musicians that were filing for unemployment and like trying to figure out what they were going to do with their money, and they're like, what is going on, dude? So it's so nice for somebody like you that has that skill, that wants to give that back to people that are gonna be in the same position that you were in. Without, like, imagine if you didn't have that skill and you were a musician. You know what I mean?
I know
be a fucking nightmare.
It absolutely is, and I really want to make sure that people who are not multimillionaires have all the information available to them to take as much advantage of the system as they can, so to say, because sometimes it just comes down to what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you had known, you're like, man, if somebody had just told me this like 5 years ago, this period would be a lot easier. But that being said, man, I'm going to throw a little positive spin on the whole situation we find, in terms of trying to save our stages and save our art and bring people together again through art. I like to think of the stock market as in the sense of like, you might find yourself in a situation like March 2020 where every company's freaking out. Like, what are we going to do? What's the future going to be?
Right.
And really, that's really when you want to be investing, when people are freaking out and thick and thin, because over time, the Apples of the world, the IBMs, they're not going to go away.
Right.
And it's the same thing with live music, right?
Yeah.
Like live music isn't going away. People want to go to concerts. So, right now, like what all the local musicians and artists are doing, going to the events they can, playing when they can, and building themselves up. It's like they're getting in at the bottom. Yeah. And hopefully it's just going to be a ride to the top,
And that's very true. And it also goes to show, and I talked about this on a recent episode as well, during the COVID shutdowns, you get to see who wants it in this business and who doesn't. Right. Who's just like, I tried. Oh, well. Yeah. I was like, fuck that. I was like, I did all this shit. I built up my whole life around this. I was like, I'm not going back to work. I've had plenty of mental breakdowns that prove otherwise. However, I've downloaded Indeed. I got on the horn with some job companies. I've called about like part-time positions. I've tried to, I'm in the middle of doing like a real estate class just to help my mom out and stuff like that, but it's not, I would look at my phone and go, what are you doing, man? You got out of this. Yeah. You left this for a reason. Like, just fuck those guys. I was like, just don't go back into a warehouse after all you did was complain about going to work in a warehouse. Like, because I don't have a college degree. I don't have a lot of working experience. I don't have any serving experience. So a lot of my opportunities are limited to get, and I put all my eggs in the music basket and focused on that skill. And I'm proud of that because a lot of people don't have that skill to fall back on. Yeah. However, we were in a time for a while there where that was the only thing that I had to offer, and I had nothing. I had nothing to go. I had nowhere to bring it to, Yeah. So that's why the fact that we live in a time where the technology is savvy enough to help you reach people from your couch or from your house or wherever you're staying, or live streaming from a venue that's shut down. Like we did that so many times. We
Troubled Waters.
Yeah, we did Troubled Waters. We did the Nona. We did Nolan's there too. Nolan's, we did so many. I did so many shows where it was just like we literally played for the bartender or the owner that was opening up for us, and like maybe Jasmine would be there, or Keith's girlfriend Kelly would be there, or something like that. Like, but we wouldn't play for like a big crowd. Everybody would just be us in front of things and in front of cameras and shit like this. So the fact that we had that was amazing. But it's funny that you say that about the stock market too, because I totally agree, man. You get in. This is an opportunity to get in at the bottom. Yep. And this is also an opportunity to build the relationships and the friendships that you want to last. Yep. And figuring out where people's heads are in this, and going like, oh, fuck you. Yeah. Like, oh, you okay? So now I'm not. Now I'm nothing to you now. Okay, cool. I was like, all right, see ya. it's very easy. It's very easy to see who wants it and who doesn't want it, and that's what, I try to look at the positive on a lot of things. I'm a pretty pessimistic person, and I tease a lot about being like that, but I do try to find the positive in a lot of things, and a lot of what I do here and out in front of people is a character that I'm playing. Spoiler alert: I'm not actually this guy when the cameras are off. Okay, so I do try to find a positive in it, and the positive thing for me with this was the fact that I think a lot of musicians got better. I think a lot of people got hungrier. And I think a lot of people, instead of going like, well, we had our shot, now we're not doing it, they're like, no, when this opens back up, we are going to be so much better than we were before. The music, the concert lineups are going to be fucking nuts.
Talk to almost anybody, even one of your friends who might not necessarily be a music junkie or concert junkie. Everybody's like, I can't wait to see this concert. And 2020 was supposed to be the year of live music.
It was.
And now when people, when I see it when you're playing out, I see it when obviously Guava Train's playing out. I see it when Frankie Ray, Daniel Moore are playing out. People are like, whoa, look, it's live music, and they want to tune in. People want this. So
the people that was the thing about it in the beginning. The people that wanted to go out for music because they're like, oh fuck, this is what we've been missing. This is humanity. These are people. This makes me feel good. I love that. I loved seeing that in the beginning, but time rolled on, and then we got some more people that just were tired of cooking at the house, and they're like, can we turn it down? I remember when you filled in for me at the Nona one time, and these people saw you playing, walked in from the street, saw you playing with a big speaker. You're not even putting out that much sound. You're playing to a room of
I'm notoriously quiet
15
sometimes.
people, and it's fine. And that's the thing. And you don't need to have that much sound in a room like that because there's no one there. Not that there's no one there, but it's just so spaced out.
10 people for a 50 capacity at least.
It's not. It's at the end of the night too, and it's just, it's a Monday also, so it can potentially get a little slower sometimes. But I came out to see you, and this fucking table came in, and they were like, can he turn it down? I was like, if he gets any quieter, he's not gonna be able to hear himself. What are you talking about?
I know. I remember thinking, I'm like, I'm usually I totally get it when somebody wants to turn me down, and because not everybody's coming for live music, but that was the night I'm like, whoa, I was already being pretty quiet. But I'm not gonna get into an argument about this.
Right. I can tell you right now that, which is funny because I love the people at the Nona, and this is not a bash on them. I love every single one of you guys, and you know this, so don't challenge me on this. But I've gotten asked to turn it down the most at that place.
Yeah.
While playing Coldplay songs. Oddly enough.
While playing Coldplay songs?
I'm not kidding you. I played... So one time I was playing The Scientist, and they're like, can you turn it... I was like, what? I'm doing half the song falsetto. What do you mean? I'm not even singing my full voice. So it was a wild time, man. The dive back into actual people seeing you play was so surreal because I had just been playing for my TV and my dog and Jasmine for months, and then you actually hear in the background, you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
Those are hands clapping. I was like, holy
honey,
shit.
can you turn off the radio, please?
Right. I'm back in. Yeah. So it's crazy, man. So man, music it's been a rough year for music, but I think it's also giving people an opportunity to really start grinding again and really get back into practice habits, and being forced to be at home is probably giving people more reason. I'm like, dude, I learned so many songs, and I wrote so many songs in the quarantine. I wrote a fuckload of songs, and I was only writing about shit that was around me, so it was really hard to get into that. It was really hard to get into that moment of darkness because I was constantly there, so I couldn't turn it on and off. I can do it every once in a while. We're like, okay, I'm gonna put myself in this position. I'm going to remember how this felt, or I'm going to remember this moment or whatever. And you just start writing from there. But during the quarantine, I was just writing all love songs about Jasmine, or apology songs about how horrible I am, to live with, and then about the dog and everything.
Come on, we needed some positivity. If everybody's writing about the blues of COVID, even Blues Masters can be like, yo, that is too blue.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because I'm notoriously a dark writer, and this time being in the darkest moment of my life, I was actually writing the happiest songs, which is weird. I never thought that it would come to that. I wrote so many happy love songs and things like that, and And it was at a time where things were not going that well. And then when things were a little bit better than they were now, but mentally I was in a different headspace. I was writing a lot darker, so it was weird. What is your writing process, by the way? Because I know you. Okay, yeah. So do you have original music out?
I do. I don't really have original music out besides Instagram clips. That is one of our goals this year. It's a little tough just because we have to social distance with some of the people in our group, and then some of the places we have access, but really shouldn't even be getting into that.
True. Yeah.
Negativity, yeah. But we're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, I do. So my writing process, I try to start with the melody and the lyrics first. I try. It doesn't always work out like that, but what I've been finding, especially with using the looper and just jamming with my dad, is sometimes I'll get a nice loop, a nice beatbox going. I've got the saxophone. I'm like, man, I want to throw some harmonies, and I'll just start singing. And the first, first lines will kind of mess up. I'll freestyle, and then if I get a good subject going and a good groove, I can usually build off of that. And if I apply myself for the next hour or so and really just try to write it out, get the lyrics, get the story straight, I'll usually be pretty good. But my downfall is when I take a break, you kind of lose everything. Coming back to it is a little bit more challenging. So that's kind of, with Guava Train, when we're writing songs, they a lot of times come out of a chord progression, a jam. I might have something. Matt might have some new groove on the guitar, and we'll just kind of build. And that's we all have other lives, especially the other members have careers and stuff. Yeah. So we'll just kind of build and kind of collaborate like that.
Yeah. That's such a blessing to have people that you trust with your music and stuff like that, because I've definitely gone through the shit where like I've recorded with some people that I should never have given those ideas to, and luckily you know what I mean, like luckily they're honest enough to not do anything with it, but like if they were assholes about it, they could be like, I'm fucking taking this shit, and like this is never gonna be yours.
And that's like one of the other mistakes that luckily I didn't suffer from, but I've seen other people suffer from not having the copyright to their music.
We were talking about that,
and just having that little piece of knowledge. I mean, even if you wrote the song, you have all the proof. Look, these are the original handwritten lyrics, and like a recording from 2008. Paying the money to litigate is not cheap.
It's not,
and you're not guaranteed of success either.
It is not at all, man. It's so crazy. Oh my god. All right, so listen, we got to swing into this album here.
Let's do it.
This subtitle of this podcast is going to be, we'll get to the album eventually, but we're getting to it now. So I've never really talked about the Beatles before, and this is just me and like what I grew up on. I didn't listen to a lot of the Beatles, so I don't know a lot about them. Obviously, I know the general stuff. I know a little bit about their background and the downfall and things like that, but I'm not well versed in it, which is why I'm really excited to have you here and kind of walk me through some of this. So, Rubber Soul by the Beatles, released in 1965. And an interesting thing I found on this album is that, like most Beatles albums, there's only one song on here that's over 2 minutes long. So,
well, I wouldn't say most, but early Beatles.
Yes.
They wanted them on the radio, and the radio wasn't playing nothing more than 2 minutes.
Crazy. So it's so weird to think about how that's changed. I mean, like, I know. Like one of the most,
for the better, right?
Yeah, one of the most played songs on the radio ever, like Stairway, is like what, 8-9 minutes? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, and like you got Freebird. That's a long ass one that they don't play the solo out on the radio sometimes.
Yeah, they fade it out. I'm like, boo.
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah. So okay. So walk me through like your favorites, and not necessarily least favorites, but like maybe something that like a deeper cut that maybe you think shouldn't be on there or would have replaced it with it. Because I know with the Beatles a lot, because they were putting out so much music. Yeah. Like 2 in a year, you were saying. Is there something that they didn't put on this record that you wish they did, or vice versa?
It's hard to say, because every single one of their albums are so different, and I really can't. They always release 2 singles with every album, and they purposely wouldn't put them on the album because they wanted people to buy the singles, and also they would say, "Hey, it's not fair to people who bought the singles first, and then bought, so there's 2 sides of the coin." But really, there's very few albums I will say about this, but I think that this is one of those albums I will consider perfect, in the sense that I can listen to every single song on this album and enjoy it, and I won't skip any of them.
I love it.
If it comes up on my playlist. This was a period in their life where 1964 was just a roller coaster for them. They went from being very unknown to like superstars, all over the biggest rock bands ever. And they were at this point where they were really starting to experiment within the studio and doing these studio tricks, like putting in like a solo but speeding it up. Or, or they were doing like in one of the songs, I think it's Wait. You know, they're messing with the guitar volume to do these like fade-ins. And fade outs. So they were getting really experimental, and it was drifting them to the point where I consider is the pinnacle of their career when they became full studio artists and had complete artistic freedom, because when they took this music out to the road, I believe it was the first time where you hear them playing some of these songs and it just doesn't sound like the album, because they didn't have like a synthesizer or things, or you know, they weren't bringing a full band, so people were I think some people were, you know, looking back like, hey, it didn't sound exactly like the record, but that wasn't as important for them. It was really grueling, and they were really getting into just art and just making the album as best as it can be. I mean,
So do you have a favorite, like an overall favorite on this record, or favorite or least favorite? Not least favorite, but one that's like, I always like to hear like what song, even though you say it's a perfect album, I always like to find out like what's the song that's like the one that you would have the most likelihood of skipping.
Okay, the most
I'm not saying it's a bad song. Just saying, like, what, like, from the first to the last, what would it be?
It would probably be Girl.
Okay.
Yeah. You can, like, hear a lot of pain in Lennon's voice, or him trying to make pain, and it just gets a little, it might get a little cringy.
Is that the one where it's, like, really breathy? Like,
he's like, okay. I'm like, damn, like, what did she do to him? Oh, my gosh. But I'll say, I was listening to this one the other day in preparation for this, because it had been a while since I spun the vinyl, and I'm like, that's probably my least favorite one on the album, but I still won't skip it.
So what's your favorite on this?
My favorite one would be In My Life. I just think I play that one almost every single set.
So great.
Yeah, it really is, and I remember like it was yesterday, riding my bike to Safety Harbor Middle School, my CD at my side, you know, skipping all along the way, you know, every single bump in the road. Yeah. And I remember the first time I heard the piano solo in My Life, I was like, wow, that is really, it just really spoke to me, and just the speed and the really meticulous care to picking every note seemingly perfect at the right time. And it was like, wow, this is why people listen to music and really get hooked on these bands.
Feels very like the canon in D thing. Dun, 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 dun,
it does.
Whatever. Yeah. But so here's the funny thing about the In My Life thing, and I know that I was trying to find the story to where I could like to where I could actually like get it right, but I don't know if this is 100% true, so don't fact check me on this, but this is something
fact checkers
this is something brutal. That I know they are brutal. That's why I'm prefacing it with the fact that I'm not a big fan, but this is something that I've heard. Maybe you've heard this too. Maybe you can back me up on this. So when Billy Joel's a big Beatles guy.
He is, yeah.
So Billy Joel, he was learning In My Life and not knowing that they sped up that solo.
Yeah.
So he learned it at that speed, and then figured out later that he was like, oh, I could have learned it the slower way, and it would have been the same thing. So I just thought that was really interesting. And, so he's like constantly like racking his brain, like, how do they play so fast? And then it was like, oh, so he learned it at the speed that was sped up 50% or whatever.
Yeah.
That's so wild to me.
And you know, that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier with what was happening in the studio. They're like, this sounds great, but we can't do this live. In fact, that solo wasn't played by any of the Beatles. It was played by George Martin. He's basically the fifth Beatle. Right. And he really helped them with these recording techniques that they weren't aware of, and that they were experimenting and helping them bring to life what was in their heads.
So was he ugly? What was the deal there?
Well, I don't know if he was ugly.
You know what I mean?
But he let's just say he was old, right?
Okay.
I think at this point, I think he was in his 40s, and like the Beatles were all young men. So like bringing him onto stage, you know, in the background might not have been as cool as having the boy band.
Yeah.
And, you know, right. You know, and the Beatles, this album too, I'm pretty sure, it's on Capitol Records just before they started their own label.
Yeah.
They got really screwed. I mean, they didn't even know what they were. This goes back to also what we were talking about earlier with musicians, you know, not having the right information. They're signing contracts thinking, oh my God, I'm getting $1 million or whatever it was. And meanwhile, other people, they're like, people are saying, well, you know, we're going to get all the royalties on your songs and your albums because we own them, and you signed this so that we can record you.
A quote that I love by Dave Chappelle is that it was, or not Dave Chappelle, it's a quote by Iceberg Slim. The money was icebergs. in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, they have it and they're giving it to you. Be like, here you go. And then they're like, oh my God, $1 million signing bonus. They're like, oh yeah, but you owe us for touring costs. You owe us for studio time. You owe us for engineering and mixing.
Yep.
You owe us for the instruments that you broke. You owe us for the women that we're dragging to your hotels. Like, what? Yeah. I didn't know this. Everything's supposed to be free. Yeah, so it's nuts, man. There's so many stories of young kids that were just like, oh yeah, of course, bang, let's go, let's get it, and then what? Where's all the money?
And I don't know if it was necessarily on this album when this really started happening. It probably was, quite frankly, though. They were trying to do new sounds and experiment and do new things, and one of the things the record company said is like, yo, first of all, these songs need to be 2 minutes a piece. Mm-hmm.
So there's what, 13 tracks on here? Is it 13?
Yeah. There were 13 tracks, and they're like, this is the way it's supposed to be, and and that's one of the other reasons they ended up finally branching out and starting their own record company. Yeah,
smart.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have a favorite? I like asking favorites on this, but I normally do like a specific list of this, but this kind of stuck out to me, and obviously they're known for their harmonies.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite harmony on this record where you're just like, damn, that's good?
I mean, they're all in this one. They're all really, really good.
They really are.
In My Life is certainly contender for that one too. I hate to say it, but I think Michelle is a really beautiful one too. And Michelle is kind of comes out of he has some French lyrics in there, and it's about I think the girl's supposed to be French.
Yeah.
And anyway, the harmonies on that one are quite impressive, and so is the chord progression too, underlying, to the point where, believe it or not, Michelle makes it into pretty much any real book, which is a book called The Real Book. That's for jazz standards, like the best, most known jazz. Your Autumn Leaves, your Fly Me to the Moons of the world. Michelle is in there, which is kind of
Caravans of the World. Kind of like, maybe, I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but yeah. So that's in the chords, I mean, like most Beatles songs, interesting.
Very technical chords. It's just so jazzy and like.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I always wondered, like back in the day, like when they were doing this and like people were covering, because actually we can't get into this now because we're gonna do it on the next time. But I always wondered how people learned songs like this way back then. It was really only listening.
Yeah.
Watching, but not everybody had access to seeing them. Not everybody was getting concert tickets to see them up close. Not everybody was friends with the guys that were actually playing these songs. So to me, it's kind of weird to think that how the times have changed so much, when like music was way more technical back in the day, but also just little simplicities get lost in certain playing styles, and you don't know how to look it up and how to find how to play it. Yeah. How would you know what chord he's hitting if you're not watching it? Sometimes, I don't know until I see it. I was like, oh, yeah, I can hear it now. But
that's what really made them such incredible musicians. And there's other stories from this time from that too. But they were born in the 1940s, most of the Beatles, and when they were learning guitar, Paul McCartney has told stories and, old interviews with John Lennon where, we didn't know how to play a B suspended to, add 6, but we heard that this guy, like 2 hours outside of Liverpool by train, like knew it. So they would travel by train X amount of hours.
That's
like, hey, nuts. Are you that musician we heard about? Or they would be listening late at night for the one time Elvis Presley song came on the radio, and they'd have one chance on their little crappy crystal radio to learn it and listen by ear, and
that's so
it helped propel them.
God, all the traveling. Now all we have to do is
can we go to YouTube? Let me zoom in. Oh, I can't see his fingers. Boo.
Yeah, right. That's so crazy. That's I never really understood the need for that until I started playing guitar, because obviously drums, it's a hearing thing, but with guitar players sometimes it's a visual. It's visual cues and helping with the voicing and the spacing and the progressions and things like that. So it's really interesting that we live in this time, and how fortunate we are to live in a time where like it's so accessible, and like we can breathe life into these songs that maybe people have forgotten about, because we can look up a way to play them or like give them back to people. So I love that about music, man. It's awesome. Let's see here. Okay, so do you have a favorite guitar like lick or riff in this? Because this is more of a guitar driven not driven, but there's more like recognizable. I'm trying to figure out a way to not flub this, so where people are like, this guy's an idiot. To me, when I was listening to this, I feel like the guitar, like the solo lines, were a little bit more prominent than like a Sgt. Pepper, or like a Revolver, maybe. Well, you know, but that's just me saying it from like a first time listening through, and I could go back and revisit it and be like, hey, I'm wrong, but you know immediately in what's the title track?
Drive My Car.
Drive My Car. Yeah, right away. It's like it like kind of it drags you in there.
And they were definitely going from more of like pop to more rock and roll.
Yeah.
At this time. And maybe not so much as like Revolver or Sgt. Pepper, because that's, you know, especially Sgt. Pepper's when they started getting complete artistic freedom. Yeah. But yeah, like if you listen to Nowhere Man, I think that's probably my favorite. That's one of my favorite guitar solos of all time. It just really comes in, and it's almost psychedelic. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's such. I really have to learn that one sometime. It'd be great training, but you know, it's just so psychedelic in the way they blend the chords in with the lead, and at the end they hit that little harmonic. Yeah. That harmonic that just like leads out, and it's really cool.
Yeah, that's so. I guess I kind of fucked that question up, but that's okay.
Not necessarily. I probably messed up the answer.
No, it's fine.
You know it all over here. Like, no, Beatles fan over here.
All the Beatles fans are gonna be like, "This guy's fucking dumb, dude." You're right. So
we're learning. This is why we talk about these things.
That's exactly right. Do you have a favorite? Do you have any favorite lyrics on here, or a favorite story, or something like that kind of stands out?
Yeah, these lyrics. Well, I don't know if this one's my favorite, but the song Norwegian Wood. I don't know if you...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that song is really dark.
I love it.
You don't recognize it at first, and it took me years to really grasp. You know, I wasn't even a teenager when I started listening to this, but basically Lennon gets invited over to this girl's house, and at the end of the day, she says, "Oh, I have to work in the morning." He thinks he's going to get laid. You know, he doesn't explicitly say that, but you can tell what's going on. So he says,
"Do you know who I am?"
So he basically says, you know, he sings, you know, so I crawled off to sleep in the bath, sleep in the bathtub or something. And he said, when I awoke, I was alone. You know, this bird had flown. Part of the title of this Norwegian Wood, this bird had flown.
Right.
And he says, so I lit a fire. Isn't it good, Norwegian wood? But you think, oh, he's lighting a fire in the fireplace. No, he burned her house down. Oh. Yeah, and you think like, no, that's just like literary bullshit. People just reading too much into the lyrics. No, Paul McCartney has said, no, that is the purpose. I was involved in this.
He burned her
house down, and this is like one of their nice album.
Holy shit!
They're still like their hair's not that long in this one. And here the second song in is this like kind of twangy, like, you know, almost, I think it has sitar in it or something.
Yeah.
And he's mad that he didn't get laid, and he
burns
so funny. This girl's house down. I mean, it's dark, but it's hidden, and that's kind of one of the cool things about art. You know, take what you want from the message.
Yeah. No, it's such a beautiful song too, and I really enjoy. I've been asked to play that a couple of times, and I'm like, dude, I'm really sorry. Like I was like, I don't know this song, and I know that Beatles fans are like very into their covers of stuff. Rightfully so. They're one of the greatest bands of all time, without question, and it's because of what they've done for music and just the entire listening experience and everything, and songwriting. I mean, holy shit. So I'm just blown away by not only how many times that song has been covered by not only local people, but like I've heard some other professional musicians do it, and it's a really beautiful song. Like if you kind of just slow it down and give it room to breathe. Not saying that their version isn't, but I love like just hearing a different composition of it, maybe like on a piano or something. And it's great. That one's probably my favorite song on the record, just because it's the most familiar to me too. But it's also a song that I knew what it was by the melody. Never knew it was called Norwegian Wood for years, until I was like 22, 23. Had no idea it was called that. I was like, what?
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, So anyway, okay. So speaking of the story of Norwegian Wood and John not getting laid, if you were to go to Vegas right now and put money on, let's say they're counting up all the women that they had sex with, who do you think would have the most? You're placing a bet on one of these guys. Who would your money go to?
I mean,
let's get Ringo out of the equation. Okay, it's It's one of the three. George is a sleeper, man. He's a sleeper. But I would definitely say it's either John or Paul.
Yeah, I guess I would probably have to go with... I'd probably have to go... That'd be tough. It's going to be John or Paul.
Yeah.
It would probably have to be Paul, because I think he found Linda, his forever wife. You know, he had some serious girlfriends, like Jane Asher, but I feel like John found Yoko probably in 66, 67. I think from there he was hooked.
And then,
but I think probably before that period, John was probably ahead. But I think then Paul McCartney just got laid enough to make it to the lead, for lack of an explicit term.
Yeah, right. That's an interesting choice. I would say that it's 50-50 between the two of them too. But who knows? Maybe Ringo will surprise us all.
Hey, Paul is still. I think he's married now, but even in the early thousands when I was getting into him, what? He's 60 and has a 20-year-old girlfriend. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. Do you know
I was 12 at that time.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you seen any of the surviving Beatles live? Obviously, or just Paul or Ringo? You have?
I have.
You saw Paul McCartney?
Yeah, I've seen Paul McCartney more than once.
Really?
Yeah, the first time I saw him was, in a full concert, was down in Miami. It was actually my first time as an adult going down to Miami.
No way.
I won't tell you the whole story, but I went down with my best friend, one of my best friends, Harrison, and my mom got me the tickets. I couldn't find anybody to go with me because it was Easter and my mom couldn't go. And yeah, we drove down there, had a great trip, and really great trip. And the concert was amazing. I mean, everybody was singing every lyric. Everybody was unified. People were so nice. Yeah. And I was just learning Spanish too. So hearing Spanish and seeing how prevalent it was in Miami, this place I heard about. And afterwards, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but we got some beer, and we weren't 21.
Oh.
And we went into this kind of hidden neighborhood in the Miami Coconut Grove area, and it was low tide. We went out to the rocks, and I just remember seeing the skyline of Miami and taking all that in, and thinking back to the concert that night, and I was like, man, I really want to be a professional musician so bad. I really do. I mean, it just felt meant to be,
So you don't have to follow up on this, but is that Miami story? Is that the one that you told me that one time?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a great trip, man. Absolutely was.
What a story.
Yeah.
Those of you that know Justin, ask him about it in real life. He'll tell you, but not on the internet, folks. Yeah, it's a good one for sure.
We were young and we were crazy.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing concert. Seriously.
I'm not that young anymore, but I'm pretty crazy still.
And I'll say this about, not to go too much on Paul McCartney, but
hit me.
I truly think that at this point, this guy is doing this because he sounded amazing. He was in his late 60s, and he played for over 3 hours.
It's nuts.
I mean, people were loving it, and I think he does this because it's not only a piece of who he is, but he loves it. And legacy, money aside, this is what he's born to do.
Yeah.
He's this is what I don't want to retire. And
right.
I think that's one of the things that makes a musician really great is someone who doesn't need to do it. Is
100%.
doing it for a check. They're doing it or for a lifestyle. They're I just love this.
They're giving, every time they're playing, they're giving a piece of themselves.
Yeah,
to you.
Yep.
I mean, that's how they should look at it, because that's I take a piece of that with me whenever I go to a show. Don't you miss that?
Yeah.
God. One of these days we'll be back. We'll be back soon. Okay, so I wanted to do this real quick for before we break. So for those of you that are watching this now, we're doing a little double recording today. So if you see the same shirts on us in the next episode where we talk about the Beatles, that's because we're talking about another album after this. So I don't want to tease that yet, but we'll be doing technically a 2-part episode with this, but we wanted to talk about Little Rubber Soul, and we're going to dive into another album after that. Dixie, stop it. I can hear that on the microphone, ma'am. Thank you. Jesus. Okay. All right. So before we break, I wanted to give you a rundown of the people that were nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame today. I want you to just give me an in or out. Okay?
I'm probably not going to know a lot of these people, but we'll know their music.
I didn't know a lot of them either. Okay. Give me an in or out. Mary J. Blige.
I don't really know that artist.
She's like the queen. She's the queen of R&B and soul. So I've heard.
Okay, so
I don't know.
I'll say N.
Okay.
N. I probably heard her music.
Yes.
I'm just really bad with contemporary artists knowing their names and knowing the names of songs.
Same. Kate Bush.
Don't really know her either.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a no. Devo. Devo was in.
Yes.
They were nominated last year.
Yes.
They're whipping, right?
Yeah.
Right. Foo Fighters.
And
first ballot. Foo Fighters. In. Get them. The Go-Go's.
In.
Iron Maiden.
In.
Shaka Khan.
I feel like I should know this. God, I'm a terrible millennial.
I don't know any Shaka Khan.
I'm not sure who Shaka Khan is.
This next one's going to fuck me up. Somebody's going to be like, you don't know how to say this name? Fela Kuti. Felakuti. Fela Kuti. I don't know. I don't know this name. I've never seen it before. I'll have to do some research on it. Sorry if you know. Sorry if this is your favorite artist. Doubt it, but I'm sorry.
It is not personal. It is just my lack of knowing contemporary music as well.
Yeah.
As I should. As
LL Cool J?
I'll give it to him. Yeah, he's in.
He's in. New York Dolls.
In.
Do you know the New York Dolls?
I think so. They've been around for a while.
Are they a punk band?
I think so. Yeah, I think they were like from the 80s.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm gonna give them the benefit.
Yeah. Right. All right, Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, definitely in.
I think they were on the ballot last year.
How are they not already in?
They
probably because they're like a younger band.
Yeah, they were on the ballot last year. I think their first thing came out in 1992. I want to say 1994, maybe something like that. Yeah. Todd Rundgren. He's I'm pretty sure he's the I don't want to work. I just want to bang on the drums all day. I think that's him.
I'll give it to him.
Okay, he's in. Yeah. He was on there last year. Yeah. Dionne Warwick.
In.
Legend, man.
Yeah.
Jay-Z.
In.
Carole King on here.
Oh, how is she not already in?
I think she's in for something else.
Maybe some kind of collaboration.
Yeah, I think so.
With part of another.
Because there's other people like Dave Grohl's in from the
from Nirvana.
From Nirvana, and then there's somebody else too. There's somebody else in here that's on something else. I'm pretty sure it's Carole King. Tapestry came out 50 years ago now.
Wow.
I think that's right. Wow. It's crazy.
Sounds right.
And Tina Turner.
In.
Tina's the one that's already in. Because she's in for Ike and Tina.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So in. A lot of ins.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about the unknowns.
Yeah. We're just young kids, all right? Give us a break. We'll see how that unfolds in the next couple of months, I think. We're taping this in February. I think they get announced in May. So maybe we'll air it right around the time when they get inducted. Maybe we get them all right. Who knows? I don't know. Is there a limit to how many people they let in?
That's probably it. They probably like supply and demand, or else it'd be like over. They wouldn't have to have the ceremony again. Right. It'd just be for like the new artists. Like
everybody's in. Yeah.
Were you gotta wait 20 years, and we're gonna have like 12 people in a year, and that way make it like coveted.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of people. I don't remember this being. Oh, you know what's crazy though? Dave Matthews Band was nominated last year, and they won the fan vote by a long shot because their fans are insane. Dude. So
they've got a Grateful Dead type of following.
Yes,
because they're always that's the beautiful thing about Grateful Dead. Or sorry, Dave Matthews. They're always jamming, playing things different. And...
Dave Matthews famously says all the time, he's like, "We really only have 30,000 fans. They just fucking follow us everywhere," which is funny because some of that's true. Like there's stories about him like going out into the going out in the crowd and pointing at somebody going like, "Hey, good to see you again." They're like, "What?" He just recognizes people from certain cities.
It's awesome.
But they won the fan vote last year and they didn't get it inaugurated, and they are not on the list this year.
Which is bullshit.
Kind of a bummer, but that's all right. I'm happy for the Foos, man. Dave needs to get in on his own accord.
Yeah. Yeah, he has earned it.
He really has, man. And their new album's a little Walk the Mooney, I don't know. It's okay, but I mean, I'll put their old stuff against anything, really, man. Like they were so good for so long, and Dave was just
incredible composer,
such a great drummer too, man. And not a lot of people remember that. Like he actually was the drummer on The Color and the Shape. So like their first big commercial album with Everlong and My Hero and Monkey Wrench and that shit. He was playing the drums for that because like the guy that recorded it, he just fired his ass and was like, "I'll do it."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like, "No, don't come back here." Yeah, he's like, "Do you need me to come down there?" He's like, "Nope, we're good. I just did it all myself."
Wow.
I was like, "Yikes."
Impressive. That's a burn.
Yeah.
Burn.
Yeah, so I've definitely done that a couple times in this business, but sorry, not sorry. Ugh. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna take a break. We're gonna do our little part 2, but we will see you guys next time. Remember to follow us. Oh, before I do that, plug your stuff one more time for your social media and your band and all that. Let them know.
Yeah, Guava Train Official. Guava Train's the name of the band. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook, and come out to a show. We've got a really good jam, really good sound, if I do say so myself. Very unique. You won't find we're playing everything from funk to Brazilian bossa nova, and check us out and see what you think. And come up and don't be shy. We're all pretty nice people.
We're learning new things. I didn't know Brazilian bossa nova was a type of music.
Yeah.
Now I got to learn some of that. So this has been great, man. We're gonna have you back soon, and by soon I mean in a couple minutes. But for you guys, it might be 2-3 weeks. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So thank you guys again for listening. This is Justin Rice. Make sure to check him out. Follow him on the social media. Go check out the Guava Train. It's Josh Plummer approved. It's very nice. They got a sweet sound, like he said. He's not bullshitting you. Very talented musicians, and I got to come out to see a show soon, man. Once I'm not as busy as I am. Do you have anything next week, like this coming week?
Let's see. We have not this weekend. Next week we have on February 20th we're playing at the Nona, and then on the 27th we're playing at Troubled Waters. Yeah,
nice,
finally
dude.
coming back to Troubled Waters.
I'm off next Saturday, so maybe I'll come see you.
Awesome.
Yeah, we got to. I'm taping with somebody that day, but then I'll try to come by and see you. Yeah, so make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, the Scratch Track Podcast. Follow us there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Scratch Track Podcast. Also, make sure to subscribe. Also, not just watch the videos. That helps me out a little bit. We can get some more views. Make sure to share it. Anytime you see anything, like us. Keep supporting us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for being a part of this. And if you want to email us or Gmail us or whatever, I think it's the same thing. I say the joke every time, so who cares now? It's the Scratch Track Pod at Gmail. So that'll be there, I think, or wherever. Here. I don't know. I'll put it on the video. But anyway, all right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Remember, episodes come out every other Thursday, and we'll see you guys very soon. Bye.